Brian Decosse and his son Mitchell farm about 2,500 acres and also raise quarter horses near Mather, Manitoba. Their 30 by 50-foot truss rafter farm shop was built back in 1980 with the help of Brian's late father-in-law, Peter Harris, and even after all this time it continues to play an important role in the success of their farm. Many of the tools used in the shop were built here on the Decosse farm, where they have learned that you don't need to spend a lot of money in order to build a wide assortment of useful shop tools.
And we use mostly old material. We tend to tear apart old machinery, old cultivators and stuff, and then build stuff out of it.
One of the most useful shop tools they've built is this crane, which is 10 feet high and 30 feet across. Decosse says this unit effectively covers most of the shop interior.
Well, we were needing a crane in the shop, and we wanted something that was fairly significant, and we didn't want it to take up a lot of room, so we have it swinging from the south end to the north end, and it's just on a pivot. And you can just bring it. The wheels are off an old forklift, and it's made out of 8-inch H-channel and 5-inch upright, and then you just put your rollers on it. You can just pivot your crane out.
Most of the time they run the crane with a 2-ton hoist, but Decosse says on one occasion they added a second 2-ton hoist and were able to lift 6,000 pounds. They built in a relatively simple feature on the crane which allows them to use it for a greater variety of jobs.
Yeah, just a little table there. We've found that if you're using the crane, quite often you need a little table that's handy, so you just put it down, and then if you're moving the crane, the table will move with it, so it makes it a little handier as well.
This heavy-duty press was built by Peter Harris over 40 years ago and still gets used quite a bit. The hydraulic cylinder is roughly 2 inches in diameter with about a 6-inch bore and came from an old cat. The hydraulic controls were salvaged from an old Massey tractor. The sturdy frame was made out of C-channel iron.
And it'll do 6,000 pounds. We used to straighten out a lot of cultivator shanks for neighbors. Something that's fairly hard steel.
For a lot of the work that goes on in the shop like this one, it's important to have a good sturdy table to work on. Decosse built this 4-by-8-foot table with the help of his son Mitchell.
My son come across some of this 3/4-inch steel, and he figured we should have a nice heavy table here, so he got the steel and we made the table, and it's fairly substantial. It's 3/4-inch plate, and it's on 4-by-4 legs with 4-by-6 frame under it. So it's pretty substantial. You don't move it very easy.
He came up with a useful telescoping light to direct light into almost any area where they happened to be working.
Actually, I had one of these in my office, very smaller version of it, in the desk, and just it's kind of handy to come out and put it beside a loader and look at your engine, and you never have to. Always mad about having a place to hang a light. So. Plus, it's easy to get a power source right on the top here. You can plug in your drill or whatever you need. You don't have to worry about it.
For the main lights in the shop, they decided on 4 fluorescent lights, which they salvaged from an old skating rink.
Our old shop here is pretty dull from exhaust and fumes and stuff on the sides of the walls, and it's not painted very well, so we went with the T5s, and they sure work very well.
If you're a regular Prairie Farm Report viewer, you may remember seeing this self-propelled sprayer featured on an Inventions episode a few years back. They built it right here in the shop, and it's still going strong, but they recently decided it needed some maintenance work.
The articulating was getting a little weak on it, so we rebuilt it and made it a little beefier. It's been running for quite a few years for us, and it still runs pretty good. So going to use it a few more years.
The shop is equipped with electric heat, but that's just a supplemental heating system. Decosse told us they use a wood stove as their main heat source, mostly because they have plenty of trees available in a nearby pasture.
The original part on it is from an old steam engine boiler, and then we just closed it in. We can burn 5-foot lengths of wood, and then we put basically a coil of wire on, or tube of copper on top, and then it runs through a rad, and then we got a temperature gauge that sets at 70 degrees, and then the fan turns on and keeps it warm in here.
This 30 by 50 foot shop was plenty big enough when it was built back in 1980, but that's not the case anymore. They're looking at making some changes, especially in the area around the main 11 by 14 foot door.
Taking out part of the roof here and making it so we can put a bigger door in the back, because our machinery's getting too big and we can't get a lot of it in here anymore, so we're going to try and expand out the end of the shop here and try and do something with it.
Over 30 years after the shop was first built, this building continues to pay for itself in the Decosse family farming operation. Maintenance costs are very low, and it gives them a year-round productive working environment.